Today, we're jumping into a true classic, Charles Dickens' masterpiece, A Tale of Two Cities. This story tackles a massive question. Can a single heroic act totally wash away a lifetime of regret? We're going to explore how love, a chaotic revolution, and one of the greatest sacrifices in literature all come together to answer that. So let's get right into it. You've probably heard this line before, right? It's one of the most famous openings ever. But it's not just some fancy poetic phrase. It's basically the entire theme of the story, right there in the first sentence. Dickens is telling us from the get-go to buckle up for a world of extremes. We're talking light and shadow, love and hate, and our characters are going to be caught right in the middle of it all. And that stage is split between two cities, London and Paris. And the timing couldn't be more dramatic. It's right at the moment the French Revolution is about to just explode. And this revolution, it isn't just background noise. It's a real force, almost like a character itself. And it's pushing everyone toward a destiny they really can't escape. Our story actually kicks off not with revolution, but with a kind of resurrection. We meet Dr. Manette, a man who was basically buried alive psychologically for 18 long years in the Bastille. He's rescued by his daughter, Lucy, a daughter he never even knew existed, and he starts this slow, really painful journey back to the land of the living. So, over in the relative safety of London, Lucy falls in love with a man named Charles Darnay. But, of course, their love story is built on a pretty dangerous secret. You see, Darnay, who's a good guy who has rejected his family name, is actually the last descendant of the very aristocratic family that threw her father in prison. I mean, talk about complicated. And yet, their love is strong enough to push past that dark history, and they get married. But just when things seem to be settling down, Lucy's world gets way more complex. Another man comes into the picture. And this man not only loves her from afar, but he has the exact same face as her husband, Charles Darnay. This physical double is what sets up the central moral conflict for the entire book. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got Charles Darnay. He's noble, honorable, a man with a real future who wins Lucy's heart. And then you have his spitting image, Sidney Carton. Carton is, well, he's a mess. He's a brilliant lawyer, yeah, but he's also drowning in cynicism and booze, totally convinced his life is meaningless. They look identical, but on the inside, they are polar opposites. And here's the kicker. Carton also secretly loves Lucy. Now, what's so fascinating is that Carton's love for Lucy doesn't make him bitter or jealous. Instead, her pure goodness kind of awakens something inside him that's been dormant for years. She represents this ideal that makes him believe, maybe for the first time ever, that he could be a better man. And this little idea plants a seed of redemption that is going to define everything that comes next. So while all this personal drama is playing out in London, the world is literally catching fire in Paris. The French Revolution finally boils over, and the city is plunged into a total bloodbath. The shadow of the guillotine is growing longer and longer, and it's about to reach all the way across the channel to pull our characters right back into the chaos. Charles Darnay feels a sense of duty and goes back to Paris, and he is immediately arrested. To the revolutionaries, it doesn't matter that he's a good person. The only thing that matters is his noble blood, and that is an unforgivable crime. The mob wants vengeance, and just like that, he's condemned to die. With Darnay's fate all but sealed, a very unlikely hero steps up. It's Sidney Carton. The man who thought his life was totally worthless suddenly sees a chance to give it meaning by saving the husband of the woman he loves. And he comes up with this incredibly daring, selfless, and, well, brilliant plan. The plan itself is just breathtaking. He uses his perfect resemblance to Darnay to get into the prison cell. He drugs Darnay, they swap clothes, and he has the unconscious Darnay carried out to freedom. Then Sidney Carton just waits, calmly ready to meet the fate that was meant for his double. This right here is the climax of the entire story. In this one final, selfless act, Sidney Carton, the man who is convinced his life was a complete waste, is about to find the profound meaning that he's been missing for so long. At its heart, what he does is the very definition of redemption. He's not just saving another man's life, he's saving his own soul from a lifetime of regret and cynicism. He is finally finding worth in his own existence. As he walks towards the guillotine, his final thoughts aren't of fear, but of peace. It's a moment of absolute clarity. He knows that this sacrifice is the single greatest thing he will ever do, and it gives his entire troubled life meaning in its final seconds. And that's really the story's powerful final message. Carton's sacrifice proves that selfless love can be a light in the absolute darkest of times. His final act doesn't just save a family, it redeems his own life and creates a future for the people he loves. It's about finding hope, even in the face of total despair. Which leaves us with this huge question to think about. Sidney Carton lived a life he regretted, but his final moments were undeniably heroic. So, can one single, ultimate act of sacrifice truly define and redeem an entire life? That's something to really chew on. Thanks for joining me on this one.